Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Nancy Drew. And I don't even remember the name of the subtitle of this Nancy Drew game. Let's see, Resorting to Danger. It's actually literally in front of my face on my second monitor. Let's move on. Storyline wise, we had made some bit of evidence that implicating potentially the scientist slash doctor, and then the dog took it, and we now need to chase the dog to the furnace area, which is a new area. So we kind of now see that there will be one area here. Let's see. So we've been to the ivory room, we've been to the laboratory, we're in the laboratory right now, we've been into the salon, we've been in the Jasmine's room, we haven't been in the garden, we've definitely been in office and reception. So basically there's obviously like one more room here, and I don't think we've been in the Zen room, but maybe we were in the Zen room before. Maybe that was where the sensory deprivation tank was. I guess that maybe was. Or was that the jungle room? So we may have been in a lot of places.
On to my next location.
And that probably tells me we're at this rate either
I bet
going
all
to...
these rats escaped from that cage. Maybe I should return them to their home.
Interesting. So we have a bonus round. A bunch of rats have gotten loose. Catch as many as you can and return to the cage before he runs out. Now what this is strange about is the fact that for such a game that has been so young girl friendly, like this is an odd twist, certainly. Potentially having a character, having a player simulate picking up rats and putting them in a rat cage as pets. That's something even little boys probably would not find enjoyable, even though maybe in the 90s there was a lot of push towards little boys living disgusting things. But yeah, everything else has just been puzzles as far as doing facials and solving word puzzles and match 3 games. Click and hold the mouse button to pick up a rat and let go to drop the rat. This is moving fairly fast too. Oh, yeah. So you can kind of just hover over this, but some of these are definitely moving too fast. And I guess you have to kind of remember where they are, and they literally don't want to be caught. Oh, they seem to also just reset. So this is probably just a bonus round with an infinite number of rats. So probably, like, unless there was a real goal.
That dog is in here somewhere. Where are you, Mr. Mingos?
Like, clearly they wanted a video game aspect here, but that is really the wrong way to go. I guess now we're just clicking or looking for spinning things. Yeah, they're trying to stretch out this game and use art assets without putting a real game in it. Like,
I'm Joanna Brown. Welcome to my dark little corner of this dark little world.
I suppose we're at the point
Joanna
where
Brown. Right, you're...
where we're still introducing characters. Well, I assume she's either the janitor or Jasmine's masseuse. Let's go with Jasmine's masseuse.
Care to guess again?
You're the janitor. How did you know who I was?
Well, Nancy, when you spend all your time cleaning up after people, pretty soon you become invisible. They don't even know you're there anymore. But that's all right, because it allows you to hear and see everything. What have you done to my rats?
Well, I thought maybe the dog had opened their cage somehow, so I caught them and put them back in.
I was giving them their daily exercise. That's what makes their coats so lustrous. That and an occasional dab of Helfton's leave-in conditioner.
So this
I love
is a
rats.
creepy lady.
I really do.
Definitely.
Anyway, since you're, as you put it, invisible, how much do you know about the...
See.
How much do you know about the construction accidents?
How much do you know about the man you're working for? That's the real question, Nancy.
Assistant Drew, please go to reception and fold the towels there. I repeat, Assistant Drew is to go to reception and fold towels immediately.
Towels. My brother could have come up with a much better code than that. He's a writer. In fact, he... Maybe later. You better go.
I almost forgot. I've still got to take this dog back to Mrs. Montague.
I'll do it. Come here, Mr. Mingles.
So apparently her brother might be the bomber too.
Just don't grab him too hard or he might... Oh no, he swallowed it.
He'll be fine. You better go to reception and do something about those towels.
Una mas.
So yeah, it seems like maybe the brother of the janitor is the bomber. At least that's what the game is pushing us towards, and this one might really bug you. So we got another puzzle. In this level, you'll see 2 new special tiles on the board. Part of the problem with this concept is you're going to spend 60% of your game just establishing and adding new components and just tutorializing it, that by the time you have unlocked all the challenge that there is to unlock in the game, there's no more puzzles to play. And of course you could go to the main menu the way these Dossier games are designed and just play the arcade mode, but that's very poor post-game entertainment. 2 new special tiles on the board. Like, this tile contains a plane or warp tiles. You can swap a warp tile with any other tile on the board, not just adjacent tiles. And this one contains a pesky padlock or lock. They can't be swapped with any other tiles. However, the lock tile will be removed if you match it away by moving another tile up to it. So we have ROSCI, which, what is that supposed to spell? I don't know a word that you're supposed to spell here with this. ROICS. Unless there's a like pastry called Rokies, ROCIS or something. Ricos, like Ricos. I mean, it could be SCOR. Or SIROC. No. I guess we should just play the spells and do as much as possible. So if you do this and this, that works. I assume this has to match with that, and that you can't just cheat the whole system. And you don't unlock these specifically for just moving things in the right way. Let's see, well, that will match. That can't swap. It would make more sense to me that these would unlock when you match something next to it. So we've got just, I guess, standard gameplay procedure going on here. Just play it, make as many matches as possible. You probably won't run into a scenario where you can't make any solutions at all. Getting a bunch of bonuses is nice, but I don't think you actually need to get bonuses as much as you just need to get one bonus and not spend it. And honestly, you may not even need to get one bonus to, like, one hint. You may just get a bonus for not spending any no matter what. This is potentially getting a little bit more difficult though. So we may hit a level where it gets really, really difficult to solve the puzzles just because nothing is going on and nothing can match anything. And these icons are covering up important parts of the images, so they're making themselves to be a bit of a hassle. Look at how many locked things are here. I might literally need to use the reshuffle at this rate, because this is getting tighter and tighter. Particularly having trouble spelling the S's. There's like only one blue R here. And then only like one O here. Yeah, the game has once again found a way to stretch out the length of these puzzles more than they should be able to. And this may highlight a factor. We'll just go through every single tile here and see if we can do anything. Suppose this one can match with anything, so that can happen, and then this can happen. Yeah, it is getting kind of ridiculous. This is the only S, and this is the only other S that I can even play. Which, yeah, if I need S's, I now need to free up more S's some other way. I also need I's. You just have this long list of these blues, none of which match except for with this one. And I suppose it doesn't matter. I suppose you just don't need anywhere as much of a bonus as you potentially could. I think you pretty much solve what you need to solve fairly quickly here. Let's see. So I need another S. Okay. Last second. I'm a pair, yet one object. Well, with those letters, now I can spell scissors. S-C-I-S-S-O-R-S.
The answer is definitely scissors.
So if scissors are the answer, then we've got to go to the salon.
Right there. That's where the next bomb must be.
We've already been in the salon, right? So being in the salon a second time for a bomb makes sense. We're probably going to go to each area 3 times. Honestly, I know Her Interactive, the makers of these games, probably doesn't have a lot of other sources of income, and it is just Nancy Drew games. But I think from a modern sell your video game perspective,
That shampoo bottle on the
you would
floor is oddly large.
probably want to put at least
Wait a second.
3
That's
games.
no shampoo bottle? Uh-oh.
Gross. Roaches. Oh, I have no idea why this game all of a sudden has become so gross out. The previous Nancy Drew game had no gross out effects from what I recall. But yeah, you would you would want to bundle at least 3 stories together by modern. And even at that, you probably would want to sell it for like $12.99 at most. There's a lot of Nancy Drew of the regular games, and I'll have to play those to see if in that scenario with that type of game there is just a better experience, longer stories, more complicated experience. Yeah, these roaches reset, so it's actually just worth your time to mostly stick to the right hand of the screen. I don't think there really is a limiting number here. Also, it seems to have given you quite a long amount of time.
I think it's time to give Nick an update.
You would also, I think, in rebundling these games and reselling them, you would want to be able to add some achievements. It'd be very easy to add 4 achievements to this game very quickly, just by having each of the mini games in the arcade mode have a specific score that you need to reach, and then give 1 achievement for beating the whole game. If you want to get really cheap with it, you could give an achievement for every single chapter being finished. Since it is a kids game, that makes a lot of sense too. You rebundle this and then you sell it on the Nintendo Switch, and I think like you sell it on the Nintendo eShop. You don't even make a physical property. I think you
Nick's
could
not
make some
here.
decent money.
Joanna did say I should
that
know
way.
more about him, so a little snooping couldn't hurt. What's this note on Nick's desk?
I guess the question really comes down to, are these stories new, unique stories, or are they based on books? Because if they're based on books, the books are probably a lot better. If they're new stories, then they still have more resellability that way. If they're based on books, there's a bit more of an argument. This is a weird filing cabinet. There would be a bit of an argument around the idea of just remaking the game completely if the story is like a beloved story. I don't feel like that's the case for these Nancy Drew stories. They feel very simplistic, very standard. It would be like the equivalent of taking a bad Scooby-Doo episode and trying to turn that into a game. There would be no reason after that point to then again remake that same bad Scooby-Doo episode a second time into a video game. A new video game. To do, find those eyeballs, shred the document in the locked cabinet. Okay. Where could this eye go? Okay, well there's an eye here, and an eye socket there. So then we need to find the other eyeball. Which, you have such a large item that it seems fairly obvious that it would be something that you would click on this. And this is way too many drawers if you potentially were going to have to click on every single drawer. Or even hover over every single drawer. It's not a second eyeball there. Is the person pretending to be in charge of the resort, not actually the person in charge of the resort. Alright, we're back to scratch as far as our abilities. So we're cycling between like 3 rotating abilities. Once upon a time there were 5 animals who had decided to race to see who was the fastest. They were each interviewed afterwards. This is what they said. Frog said I was runner-up. Cat said I napped after crossing the finish line. Dog said I was on the hare's tail the whole time. Hare, I wasn't first, but at least I beat the rat. Rat says the cat was waiting for me when I finished. Put these tags in order of the animals that crossed the finish line. Each row and columns must have 1 planetary symbol, 1 animal symbol, 1 fruit symbol, and 3 different colors. Alright, well this sounds like a ridiculous amount of stuff. So, let's read this again. 1 planetary symbol, 1 animal, 1 fruit, and 3 different colors. That is each row and column. Okay, well, then we've got to probably do that and that. Animal, fruit, 3 different colors, and that, and then that, and that. Let's see. We gotta move something. This is a color, a fruit, and a symbol. 2 fruits here. We need a purple symbol here.
That should do it.
That was way too easy. Way too easy. I wasn't anywhere close to thinking I had solved that. And I keep running into that problem. This is like the second time that this has happened, where I have felt like I was just moving things around, getting set up, and then I was going to take a breath and reread the instructions and solve it. And instead of having to do any of that, I just stumble into it in dumb luck. And if I think it's too easy, that probably means it's a little too easy even for the targeted age group of the kids. Kids are smarter than that these days. Okay. So assuming that since these are all facing that way, which is weird because I was expecting them all to face the other way, I tend to expect you to start on the left and end on the right. Frog says runner up. Dog says he beat the rat. Which then cat said I was that the cat
There.
one. Yeah, once again you could fairly easily
gosh.
brute force
Nick
this.
is embezzling money from the clients and the Redondo.
I don't know what part of this you would immediately realize is embezzling. Yeah, you have client numbers, you have services, you have, this isn't a particularly good system to have a subcategory of services. Nasal refuse capture device, ocular retinal preservation device, spa, wide advanced sanitation system, luxury personal hydration preservation system, full body cover up and care. So the nasal refuse capture device is a box of facial tissue. He charged somebody $40 for that. It actually cost 37 cents. Which so far that doesn't feel like that's really embezzling. That's just charging a markup, which is totally legitimate business, even if you're charging a ridiculous unethical markup. Like, where's the embezzlement part? The embezzlement part would be to put the money in his own account. A Oculus retinal preservation device is a fluorescent light bulb. He charged $75. It actually cost them $1.52. Spa wide sanitation system, $35 for some hand soap, which cost 84 cents. Luxury personal hydration preservation system is $57, which is drinking water, and drinking water oddly costs $2, more expensive than a light bulb and soap. And then a full body cover up and care, which they charge $150. And that really was a complimentary robe that cost $15. So where's the embezzlement part here? Like, they billed this person $357 and they're rich and stupid, so they were willing to be taken advantage that way. They actually spent less than $20 and they made a profit of $330. $337.27. What you would need to see as far as proving embezzlement is if this number here didn't add up with this number, or this number here didn't get reported correctly in other accounting books where the numbers wouldn't add. It would have made a lot more sense for there to have been a column that said secret bank account, amount put to the secret bank account, or just say embezzling. What's funny here, though, is they label this as supplies and labor. And let me make an argument here. For as much as this is stupid, that you would charge a rich person $357 for a tissue, a light bulb, a hand soap, drinking water, and a complimentary robe. The light bulb stands out particularly as the most egregious charge here because that would have just been what the facilities cost and would be used by other clients later on, whereas everything else here would probably be tossed away, and not, like, you would be welcome to take the tissue and the hand soap and the drinking water and the robe home at these prices. You would not be particularly welcome to take the light bulb home with you. But let's make an argument here. It costs $20 to get the parts, and they're wrong about labor. None of this should actually be the cost of labor. So you would want to make double the profits of what you would cost on this. So right now they're making $330. So let's say 160 of that dollars very easily could be paying the daily salary of 2 employees. So you've got a janitor employee, you've got a assistant masseuse employee. It's not crazy to charge that much of a markup, particularly in a spa, because when you're going to a spa, it's not like you're going there to buy a whole bunch of physical items. You're buying an experience, and it wouldn't be crazy to be charged at a even relatively cheap hotel $120 a night. And what is that really getting you? It's getting you a tissue and hand soap in the bathroom, and a light bulb and drinking water, and a complimentary robe. And then all that profit is going to the housekeeping and the attendants and the cleric. Not the cleric, the clerk. No priests in most hotels. This actually seems very reasonable prices when you start to say, all right, we've got 5 employees, we've got to find some way to pay them. You've got a huge salon that's running major electricity and water bills and maintenance upkeep, things like that. You also have to build up a buffer for the slow time, because you're going to probably get most of your traffic during the summer times in the salon. You're probably not going to get consistent year-round visitors, and so you want to keep those employees employed. That way you don't have to lay them off and hope they come back the next time it's busy season. And
Nicholas!
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know what my poor darling Mr. Mingles is doing now? He's belching blue, horribly odoriferous bubbles. He doesn't seem to be in any pain, thank goodness. But we both know this is yet another side effect of the botched spinal manipulation performed by that dreadful Redondo quack to whom you insisted I take him. And the behavioral side effects? Why, no sooner did that janitor lady set Mr. Mingles down after finding him in the furnace room than the poor thing ran off again. I immediately ordered her to catch him, which could take a while because Mr. Mingles is so sprightly and she's so not. But as soon as my precious baby is back in my arms, you and I are going to have a very long talk.
Sounds like this would be a good time to snoop around Joanna's furnace room.
that's an interesting decision. I'm not sure I fully follow the logic there. Yeah, I feel like it would be beneficial for kids to be told how expensive running a business potentially is. There are definitely a lot of people who think it's not that expensive. There's a lot of other side to that too. There's plenty of businesses that are raking in money and then underpaying the staff and pretending like they're broke all the time. But yeah, if you want to pay a living wage, you've got to get a lot of income. You've got to have that backup for every little emergency. Normally an emergency would not include Mad Bomber, but I think a lot of times when you see money included in toys and games for young kids in particular, there is a lack of explanation as to the way economics really work, to the point where I don't know if anybody anywhere actually knows how economics works. It's all just theory, really, but also there's also a lot of fantasy that some of the games do, and there is definitely some room for education in this game in a lot of ways.
Time to move on.
So that would have been
What is that sound?
a better way
Oh
to
no,
explain this.
I think there's a bomb in here somewhere.
So we've been to this room twice.
The bomb is inside the furnace.
Assistant Drew, please go to reception and fold the towels there. Immediately.
Sorry, Nick. I already know where the next bomb is. I just need to figure out how to turn off this furnace first.
So yeah, we are kind of jumping past a lot of opportunities for hidden objects, which is what the game felt like it was going to be. Is that every room was going to have a large number of hidden objects. But it doesn't really feel like that's the case. It's weird that there's what looks like a furnace heater and a boiler, and what looks like an incinerator all in the same place but not really connected to each other. Flip this. What does this say? Open. So you lift that. There's a spot for a crank. Put the crank in. That's a weird looking crank. Turn crank. Now we can open this by pulling it. And see, this time you just click it.
A small scrap of paper was used in this bomb. I'll have to keep an eye out for the magazine it was torn from.
Yeah, most people don't know how to run a business, and I would be lying to say even I would successfully run one, but one thing you can generalize is they require massive amounts of effort and love and care and money. Just a ton of money. Wonder what would happen if I just let the bomb
No construction
explode.
accidents here.
Probably nothing, because it seems like all the bombs are specifically designed to be kind of silly and not actually dangerous. Mold for a key. That's an odd thing to have just around. Really good towel as an insulator. Let's see. Pull the handle. Lift the handle. Nope. Screwdriver bit. Which probably you want to put in the mold for the key, but maybe not yet. There's a lot of goo on the floor. Mop water. Let's go and lift that.
This is a crucible for melting metals at low temperatures.
Yeah. Screwdriver bit in the crucible. Crucible with that. Not yet. We need to melt something. This needs a key too. So both sides need a key. So we're gonna do a little molding. A long time ago, I'd say probably 60, 70 years ago.
I can't get that ingot of metal out. I'm going to have to bribe one of Joanna's furry friends for help.
So that's what we're gonna melt. They used to melt pewter and tin to make little metal toy action figures. The problem there is pewter is toxic, so playing with the metal as a heavy metal, almost all heavy metals cause brain damage, even in small exposures, so it really was not a safe thing for kids to be playing with. Same as mercury. During the same time, people would play with mercury too, and we've just become more aware of the long-term effects of small exposures to chemicals, although there is also, in my opinion, a lot of
This is interesting reading material. Wait a second, there's something behind this book.
There's a lot of chemicals that are still being used in the United States in particular that shouldn't be used, but the corporations have managed to lobby the politicians to let them still be used. Not that all chemicals should just immediately be assumed to be evil and bad, but a lot of them are dangerous. So something behind the book, what am I supposed to do? Let's see. Mid-break at Waverly. A girl's story of secrets and scandals. There's rat treats, which we wanted to put here to the rat. So we can get the ingot, which is just a tiny little pixel. There we go, and now that's an ingot. Crucible, so now we've got that melted. So we can put it in the mold. Where did the mold go? Oh, it's over here. It moved quite far. Then this key needs to go in the water, right? Apparently no. Oh, I used the handle and the handle of the mop head and the screwdriver bit, which doesn't really make any sense. I guess maybe we do the insulator on the towel. So now we're holding the melted key to put in the water to try the melted key, which it looks like that really would not work at all. We're not just gonna screw drive the other lock, and then we found a screw. Inside that's a different key, which seems ridiculous to have two keys to open up a foot locker. I can't read any of this text. I'm not even going to begin to pretend like I can. But it seems to me like the janitor hates this girl, which to me, this probably means that the janitor is the younger sister of this girl. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Apparently I'm supposed to click on something here.
Joanna has a creepy anti-shrine to Jasmine. I'd better check on her.
Star leaves Hollywood to look for love. A certain sweetly smelling. You know what? Just pause now and read this if you want to. I don't feel like a lot of these text content matters. If anything, I would say this game is getting further and further
Time to
away
move on.
from being something that book lovers would really want to deal with. Yeah, and last time I ended on this section, which I think this section pauses the game a little bit better. So we've jumped up to chapter 14, which means we are at about the halfway point with the game. And while it is giving us potentially a little bit more to do as far as the mini games, it is also rushing us through a story that feels really simplistic, really like obvious. Although I guess I should give it some acclaim. There's no way in the very first chapter you would have been able to know who was the bad guy and why the bad guy was acting this way, whereas I suppose they could have done that and introduced every character at the very beginning of the game. Almost, I think that probably would have been better though, had they introduced every character you would have run into at the beginning of the game and just shown you pictures and given you names of them in a dossier type file. Then that would have let people's imaginations run wild and potentially improve upon the lack of content that is actually in this story. It also probably wouldn't hurt if there were some red herrings. Everything here just feels so incredibly straightforward, to the point where you're really not playing a mystery game. You're just playing a hidden object adventure game, and those can be incredibly boring, as we see here in this case. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.